Hey everyone! Today we are going to talk about a hilarious story about one man's quirky life with his wife. This lady tossed a cup into the trash just because a black man drank some tap water. You can imagine her helplessness, but she dared not say much. She knows her husband not only has a bias against black people, but also has a well-known short fuse. Tony is a nightclub security guard who solves problems with a good old punch. You heard it, I'm your buddy Gio. Tony thinks they solve problems. What's the result? Satisfaction. Then the crematorium awaits. He overdid it, knocking out an important customer. The club was forced to close for 6 months, and he lost his only job, just what this not-so-wealthy family needed, right? As the sole breadwinner, losing his job meant losing financial support, so Tony had to get creative to make some cash. A friend suggested he enter a town's eating contest. Just eat enough to win $50. Tony wasn't about to back down. He devoured 26 burgers, but $50 just wasn't going to cut it for the household bills. Rent is due next week, so Tony needs a real job. A friend recommends him to be a chauffeur for a pianist. But when he opened the door, to his utter astonishment, there was a wealthy black man sitting there with royal dignity. Tony was instantly left speechless and flabbergasted. This big shot needed a guy who could handle trouble, not just a regular driver. He offered $100 a day, plus food and lodging. Sounds great, right? But he had some extra demands, no way to quit once you start. He wasn't just looking for a driver, but a personal laundry washing, emotional support assistant. Hearing duties of laundry and shoe cleaning, Tony felt irritated, but decided to try for a better life. Although he hesitated at the idea of being a black man's servant, he made a bold offer of $135 a day. They began to negotiate. Trust me, you won't regret this. Looking at Tony's resume, he thought Tony was the best fit, but Tony wasn't budging. Tony held firm on $135 a day, rejecting the servant role. All right then, Imata here. At first, he thought the big guy would be too embarrassed to decline. But surprisingly, the next morning, the big guy called to agree to all his terms. Of course, this meant Tony would be away from his wife for 4 months. I need the cash. After thinking all night, Tony decided to accept the job. Before he left, the assistant gave him half his salary and handed Tony a green book. This book was his ticket to the South, which listed hotels and restaurants where black people were welcomed. His wife came to see him often and insisted he come back for Christmas. He'll definitely write you a letter. And off they went on the grand tour journey. Shortly after setting off, Tang made 2 demands, only a Steinway piano and his favorite whiskey every night. Meanwhile, Tony munched on a burger his wife prepared while trying to remember these demands. On the road, Tony kept munching and even smoking in the car. What a rude character. Upon arriving at the first stop of the performance, Tony was repeatedly reminded by Tang to exercise caution, emphasizing that these were influential people and he must watch his words and actions around them. This really rubbed Tony the wrong way, but then the show started, and the graceful performance left everyone in awe. However, once the show had concluded, Tom came across Tony gambling with a group of people. The anger practically bursting from Tom's chest was almost tangible. He scolded Tony, "You made this choice." In the evening, with great enthusiasm, Tony penned his first letter to his wife, heaping praises upon the big guy in it. "I miss you loads." He jotted this down while passing a gas station. The expensive restroom made him think about getting a gift for his wife, but his wallet was emptier than a soda can. This made him hesitate, but he spotted something shiny on the ground. He picked it up. Little did he know, Tony's boss saw the whole thing and was disappointed, making him return it to the vendor. Tony insisted it was a lucky find, but Tom sternly said, "Return it, or you're not going anywhere." The next day, they arrived in Indiana, and Tony went to check on the piano as requested. But the piano was a mess, and not even a Steinway. Tony was furious and demanded a replacement. Eventually, he used force to successfully assert himself and got Tom the respect that he truly deserved. Then, standing by himself in the corner of the stage, he grinned with delight like a kid in a candy store. At that moment, he let go of his biases against Tom. On their way, Tony used his pay to buy a bucket of fried chicken to share the joy with Tom. After much coaxing, Tom had his first taste of fried chicken. And that's how the opening scene unfolded. As they continued south, the racial tensions grew. Tom found himself in a shabby motel, where black folks invited him to play ball, but he felt so out of place he swiftly made his excuses to leave. If you like this story, don't forget to subscribe.